Oh, we've got a technical issue, ladies and gentlemen. I'm
Hello.
not sure what is going on, but none of the audio features are working. So,
Oh,
yeah, I'm.
does that mean no one can hear us at all?
Are you getting any messages? I don't know if they can hear us, but I, for some reason, there was a software update on this, but I can't play, not even a triangle.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, it
So,
says we're on the air. You're in the broadcast.
right, well, why don't we just damn, I can't
Welcome.
use any like horrible sound effects and do some clowning around stuff. So Simone, why don't you? Yeah, it's your
Take it
show. Go for
away.
it.
You sure? Kristian Livolsi, welcome to the hot seat. It's Wednesday. We are experiencing some minor technical errors. You were just mucking around with the sound effects a few minutes ago, and everything was working, much to your delight.
Well, the applause. No, but the interesting is the applause button is still going off.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, if you can hear us, drop us a comment
but we
so we
can't
can
see if anyone's commenting.
double check commenters from the live views. Well, this is an interesting hot seat episode, isn't it?
This is amazing.
Lovely.
There's no. We did not strategically think about this.
Oh, well, I'm just on Facebook right now and I can hear us. So
Right.
I'm going to
Okay.
say let's roll with it. We may
Let's go.
not have sound effects, but we are being heard. So that is the most important thing. Welcome to the hot seat. It is Wednesday, and today I wanted to talk to you all about strategic thinking and being a strategic thinker. Now, I know this is something that is your absolute superpower, and I wanted to dive into this today because I think it's something a lot of people think about. Like, how do you create this, and what do you do? So, I'm going to dive straight into the first question, and I'm going to ask you, Kristian, what is strategic thinking? What does that mean to you?
Okay, I'm not sure if we're getting an echo on the other end, but I have worked out that when you speak, it's feeding back on the Rode mic. So this might be a complete and utter disaster out there for people. If you
Oh, no,
can,
I've just got a message from Marianne. She's saying we can hear you
no echo.
and have commented. So we can't see the comments coming on
Okay,
here. Hopefully,
so
Marianne,
obviously
it's not echoing.
the update I just did, the 450 meg update, which only took less than half a minute with my internet, has caused an issue with us being able to know. But thank you, Marianne. I really appreciate it. So, what is strategic thinking? Was that the question, Simone?
Yeah, that's the question. What
Right.
is
Okay.
strategic thinking?
Right. So, strategic thinking is the thinking before the plan. That's pretty simple, and it's the capacity to prepare strategies and conjure ideas that will both cope with changing environments and also consider the various challenges that lie ahead. Now, strategic thinking, ladies and gentlemen, is critical, divergent, convergent, and also logical. But I think what's really important is that I explain that strategic planning is the process in which company leaders have to define their vision for the future and identify the company's goals as well as their objectives. Now, that process includes establishing sequences in those goals, right? And those sequences they should also be realized so the organization can reach its stated vision. So how do you do that? Well, and this is a form of strategic thinking, you need to define your vision. You need to assess where you are. You need to determine your priorities and your objectives. You need to define your responsibilities, which leads to accountability. And then you've got to have the power to measure and evaluate those results. Now, put simply, strategic planning is in the top 3 or 4 things that you and your team have agreed the business has to get right in the next 2 to 3 years. And in practice, it's the doorway to innovation, culture, transformation, and also the proactive strategies to manage your response to an ever-changing environment.
Okay. That's a lot to digest. I'm not
Yep.
going to lie.
But
Because a lot of us
it is my superpower, so it was going to be given straight.
I know, right? But a lot of us are taught that we do the thinking after we write the plan, not thinking before the plan. So it's really changing your perspective on how you're viewing that, right?
Yep. You know, look, everyone plans, right? They do budgets.
Yes.
And budgets is planning, right? And that's what people call strategic planning. You go to an accountant, and that's what they do. You go to, most of these people, but it's the thinking, right? Like it's the strategic thinking. It's why sometimes, a lot of times, I can walk in, and make someone $250,000 for hanging out with me for 10 hours. Right? Like, even today, we heard it in the Evolve Mastermind. One of our new clients have spent, 40 hours with me now, building building the strategy or future strategy for the business. And this camera is now doing its stupid shit. And I apologize that, but that's a better version of me anyway. They made an extra 10,000. We're essentially 41% more in sales this week alone, which will translate to $500,000 in additional revenue. And that was for spending. And that was for spending 50 grand with me.
Yeah, they are just over the moon. And it's interesting in the reflections of what they were saying. They wish that they connected and started working with you sooner. But everyone knows that they have a pathway, right? And everything happens for a reason, which is very, very cool. So I'm going to move into my second question. My second question for you today, Kristian, is how can you develop your strategic thinking ability? So is this a skill? Is this something you can actually develop and learn? Or is this something that we've talked about born traits before around sales, but do you think this is a similar concept with strategic thinking?
Look, strategic thinking is absolutely a skill. It's also a talent, and all skills and talent can be taught and learnt. I'm also an international lead or thought leader on growth mindset, so I have to say that. But there is elements of superpower. There are some people that are just really sharp at this, but you can be taught to be sharp. I'm constantly teaching people. I teach my clients how to think strategically. But I think what you got to consider is that there are four main skills within strategic thinking. And that's what you got to work on. So you got to learn analytical skills. You got to learn communication skills. You got to learn problem solving skills, but you got to also learn planning and management skills. So then how do you improve your strategic thinking skills? Well, one, you got to ask strategic questions. The quality of your questions will influence the quality of the response that you receive. Okay? Most people ask stupid questions. Okay? And so when they get stupid answers, they think that people are stupid. No, you're stupid. You're not asking a good enough question, right? So, and normally it's the really smart people who think that they are asking the right questions. And I walk into rooms, and I love being the dumbest person when I walk into a room. At least that's their perception, right? Because I ain't pretty, I'm not skinny, I wear a t-shirt and jeans, right? I don't give a shit, right? So I'm always perceived to be, who the hell is this guy? Until someone goes, I know that's Kristian Livolsi, right? Wait until you have a conversation with him. And the first thing I do is I ask a question, right? And I make sure that the quality of my question gives me the response that I'm looking for. And that is genuinely to see whether or not someone is smart enough to have the next dialogue. Because it's, being smart is not that hard, right? Because smart is about passion and purpose as well. It's not just sheer intelligence. Okay, I've met some people that failed school but are super, super smart, right? Because they're street smart, and why? They're purposeful and passion. They're driven by passion. They've got enthusiasm, right? So these are the really things. But they're not. Let's stay on task, right? So you got to learn to observe and also reflect. Really difficult skills, right? A lot of people say, Kristian, you do a lot of talking, but man, you listen. I mean, we get that all the time. And I'll repeat something that someone said a month ago in a strategic meeting. And everyone's like, how do you remember that? You've got hundreds of clients. It's called observation. And if you care enough, you will listen and you'll observe. And I need time to reflect, particularly when I'm giving strategic advice. You got to consider all opposing views, right? You know, I love it when sometimes people that don't know me say, oh yeah, Kristian thinks he knows everything. I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing, right? And I love that only people that don't know me say that. And I find it really fascinating because everyone that knows me says Kristian loves a good debate. And I normally don't ask someone, I'll say something I don't even mean just to get a reaction to see how people think about that problem or how they think about finding a solution. Because, as you know, I don't see problems. I see solutions.
Yeah.
I see opportunities, right? I don't see threats, right? I have to know those threats exist, but I don't see them as threats. I see them as opportunities. So it's really important to consider all opposing views. If you're not asking everybody and you're not considering their view, then you're a fool because you don't have all the answers ever. And then the last one is you got to embrace training, right? You got to embrace the unknown. You got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? So, and I'm going to wrap that up with, you need to cultivate a strategic mindset. So whether it's in the long or the short term, a strategic mindset can be developed through self-exploration, critical questioning, and that formal training. And the advantage of having that strategic mindset is learning how to think rather than what to think. Really, really important, right? Learning how to think rather than what to think. And although you might not always have the right answers, strategic thinking skills can empower you to spot the new opportunities, address the emerging challenges, and more importantly, plan for a future.
Yeah.
And that's the, and I mean, I love these questions because this really is what I love doing. People often say, what do you do, Kristian? I'm a strategist. And they're like, well, what the hell is that? Well, I do the strategic thinking that you can't do, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time, my job, Simone, I think this is the latest line that I've been using. I don't remember who I stole it off, but I fucking loved it. Oh, sorry, I loved it. Right? It just went at M, right? I loved it. And what it is that my job, 90% of the time is to help people unpack what they already know, but don't know, right? The other 10% is to stop them from doing dumb shit. That's it, right? And that's essentially strategic thinking because they're not doing it.
I like that. That's really cool. Yeah. But that was like a real profound moment for me because I remember when we first met and I started working with you, it was undoing all of these things that you're like, no, the way you're thinking or the responses you're giving me, it's almost like it's been indoctrinated in a certain way from the coaching programs and the styles that I'd learnt. And I wasn't using my own mind for those types of things. It was a very patterned type thing that I learned behavior. So that's really cool. All right. So my third question for you is, are there any times where you actually shouldn't be thinking strategically? Is there a part of your thinking, of your mindset, of any part of you where you think strategy is not, I don't need to be thinking strategically in this moment?
Okay. That's a trick question. It has to be because exacting, right? Our new buzzword in our office for basically executing with precision. Execution does not require strategic thinking. Execution requires exacting, actually getting shit done. And, I say this all the time. We are an excellent strategic thinking organization, and we really struggle at executing because there's so many moving parts, right? Most companies struggle to execute. Why? Because a lot of the times people are firing cannonballs in the hope of taking out the target. And Jim Collins says, stop firing cannonballs because you haven't got enough. They're slower, they're heavier. But also what happens is if you fire the cannonball and you miss, right, that ship knows where you are and is going to take you out. So why not take out your rifle with a whatever they call it, right, with a telescope, fire a bullet, right? No one's going to know that the bullet was fired. When you get the range right and it hits the front of the boat, then launch the cannonball, right? Yeah. So there are times where strategic thinking is the strategy before the plan. It's the thinking before the plan. after the plan is done, take action. Stop stuffing around. And this is where, I love some of our new clients. They listen to every word. They hang on the words that I say. They execute with precision. And they make $500,000 from a 50 grand investment. Like, it's absurd. When was it? I think last week I had someone say, I gave them a fee proposal. It's the first time I've had a client actually like, what, you charge that much? I said, actually, I'm cheap. Like, and I don't even use the word cheap.
Yeah.
Right? And they were like, what do you mean? This is like $58,000 for 4 days' work. I said, yeah. You haven't factored in my business class flights, my Sofitel accommodation on top, right? All my meal allowances, and I only eat in 2-hat restaurants because I'm an arrogant prick who used to own restaurants. And they were just like, you're being serious? I said, I'm being serious about everything except the restaurants. Right? And they're just like, so it's going to cost me more. I'm like, yeah. And so I won't forget, they turned around and said, well, what's my ROI? It all comes down to how well you execute. And they're like, but what do you mean? I said, I'll write you the very best possible strategy that will crush your competitors and dominate your industry. That's what I do. Right? Bottom line, though, is if you don't implement the things that we build in the strategy and in the plan, I can't. And, we've got a great client, Ashish, and I won't say his business, but he was one of the other people, and that was the beginning of the year when he didn't question the strategy. It was the next plan working together. And he said, I'm going to give you 2 months. It's now been 7 months. He's gone. He's making really good money. And I don't want to sit here and say, but his return is 20x, right? And he said the other day, he goes, "I need more of you, more of you." I said, "More of me is not going to solve you." And he's a machine. He's one of the hardest working people that I have ever had the privilege of working with. But smart, like works the grind, gets on with it, but executes really, really well. So.
Why do you think people freeze? Why do you think there's an issue with the execution?
They're lazy.
Does that come down to a mindset, though?
No, they're lazy, Simone. Everyone wants the easy outcome. Everyone's looking for the easy solution. And we doubt ourselves. Mate, you work with me, you cannot doubt yourself. Because I won't work with you if you're a doubter. And this is what the clients today that you heard on the mastermind, they had so much doubt. And today was the first time we high-fived and I had positive energy shoot back into my arm. And I looked at both of them, I said, you now don't doubt. But they had to do 40% more sales in a week to stop the doubt. And I was like, that's pathetic. Yeah. You didn't need that 40% extra increase in sales. That's fucking us having a party. Let's pop the krug, because that's what that is. But look, I get really pumped and excited about this stuff because, I love what I do. I absolutely do. And I love the people that I do it for. Okay? Yeah. I'll never forget a friend of ours, Cassie, at my best mate Toby's 30th birthday. So this is a while ago. She took this great photo of me at bird in hand. She's always taking great photos of me. She has an ability to make photos of me look amazing, right? No one else can. She does. Cassie, if you're listening. And she said, this is a really good photo of you. And I was smiling and I was in my happy place. And she said, this is what you're like with everyone. You love what you do and you love the people that you're with. Otherwise, you don't hang out with them. And that's the thing. You've got to be passionately and purposefully driven if you want to succeed. Regardless of whether you want to be strategic or not, you can pay strategists to come into your business, right? But pick a strategist that actually knows what they're talking about. Not someone who has and I'm, again, no disrespect to my mates that are accountants, but there are so many chartered accountants out there or accounting firms that claim that they can do strategic thinking. Show me. Demonstrate it to me. Start by fucking tax planning properly, right? How many of our clients in just the last 3 months have had tax planning issues? And they're paying huge tax bills, like paying their accountants. It's like, come on, man. Yeah. And then I get on the phone with the accountants and like, oh, Didn't think of that. That's because you're not thinking. All of these clients are numbers to you because you're trying to have a list of 1,000 clients so you can sell your accounting practice. What? Come on, Adelaide, worldwide, Sydney, Melbourne, wake up, right?
Yeah.
You got to work with someone who doesn't make you a number, right? And that's hard, right? You know, people always say, like, what do we have? We had feedback back from the group. I'm ranting. Wow. We had feedback back from the group. And they're like, oh, you can't let this group get bigger than 15 people. I'll let the group get as big as I want.
Yeah.
And the point that it will stop is when I realize that I can't give everyone the care that I want.
Yeah.
But at that point, the price is going to go up. Right? So you can't, as a customer, have the best of both worlds. You can't have a $1 price tag and then want all the attention. Right?
Yeah.
So be careful what you want and what you wish for, right? So, you know, but the thing is, you know, we certainly don't do the mastermind for money. We do that for love. And the most important part about what we do is we all care. Like, we properly care. Right? Because in our place, if you don't care, you self-eliminate.
Yeah. And that's a big part of the strategy, right? Is actually caring what happens in the future and not just looking at from a dollar and cents point of view, which is obviously very important and fundamental to what you need to do. But it's about the generational flow on effect and the cause of the business owner to the families behind those businesses and everything else, which is one of our great values that we have too. Our people first.
I mean, you know, look, Simone, we work really smart for our clients, right? And we are so blessed, right, to have the clients that we have. They, you know, they support us in every crazy scheme or idea that we have. They welcome us in their homes. You know, I know all my clients' children's by name, right? And I take great pride in that. Maybe that was my restaurant days, you know, of hospitality and care, remembering, you know, 150 names at any given time. But the truth is, you know, we really are grateful for what the opportunity they give us, at least for me, because I don't take it for granted. They could go anywhere. Yeah. Right? They could go anywhere. And you know, I know they won't get the same result. That's what makes me that little tad arrogant. But the truth behind it is, I also know that no one's going to care as much as we care. Because we don't care about the dollars. We don't need to worry about the money, right? Yeah. And we don't have greed in our organization. You know, we don't always say it. Greed is what kills great strategy. Greed is what kills a great plan. Greed is what kills relationships, right? It's always greed, right? And the hardest part for most people is to understand that just because we're lifting you up, it doesn't mean that you can do it on your own. Yeah. Right? And that's one thing that we've learned in our organization. I certainly have. I can't do what I do without my team. I can't do what I do and love what I do without the love of my family, because they fill my cup up. So, you know, and that's one of the most beautiful things about our organization that I've come to really, really love, right? Is that we really give people time, flexibility, to be present with their families, right? Yeah. You know, and we encourage our clients to do that. You know, what's been the famous line in the last 6 months? Kristian, you've saved our marriage. And I'm like, I don't know when I became Carl Jung, but you know, it's not that enjoyable sometimes. But the truth is, you've got to put the person first. The business, and this is probably our big difference. You know, maybe we are Jerry Maguire. You know, you got to put the client first, and you got to put their relationships first, right? And then the business will sort itself out, because great talent always finds a way.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a perfect way to end this week's hot seat episode on, is just understanding those fundamentals, that it is about you as the person. And a lot of people get into business for that freedom and lifestyle and soon realize that that's not what it's playing out in the day to day. So understanding that and working with people that actually will help you find the balance. I don't know if there really is a balance, but help you find the right lifestyle choices for you is fundamental. So Kristian Livolsi, thank you very much for your time. I'm really not sure if the outro video is going to work today with the tech issues.
I don't know either. And I'm just checking because I think I'm meant to be on a call in like 4 minutes. But let me try, Simone. Guys, thank you very much for being here, because we know you could be somewhere else. And if you are watching this on replay, please hashtag replay. We are trying to work out, right, if this is worth continuing in this format, because obviously, I love talking about myself. Who wouldn't love talking about themselves? No, but we do this because we want to give you value. It's not actually about us. I talk about me because I find that that's the way I teach, and it helps people understand and gives the storytelling side, et cetera, et cetera. But, we really want to know, are people watching it at this time? Do we need to put it at a later time? Do we need to do it early in the morning? I know we've got lots of people in the United States because we've got lots of clients over there. So, it's, let us know if you watched it live by saying live, and if it's a replay, hashtag replay, like just to give us some kind of understanding. And if you really hate what we say it. Really dislike you, and that's great, because then I'll block you and bar you and get you out of my life. No, yes, I will do that. But no, look, thank you very much. And Simone, thank you, as always. I'll hit this button because I have control, because I got the fast internet. Let me see if it works. Nah. Are you ready to start taking action on your business? Would you like to spend more time with your family? Then call 1300-643-229 and start building momentum right now. I know you're busy. In fact, you are so busy that you don't have time to work on your business or yourself. Often tossing and turning at night, worrying about the how-tos and the cash flow. How on earth can you possibly get off the hamster wheel so that you can take a helicopter view to see where you'll be in 90 days, 1 year, or 3 years from now? In this program, I will take you from sleepless nights to blissful sleep. You'll have more time with your family, and you will have the clarity and direction so you can grow and flourish. Call 1300-643-229 now and start building momentum.